Paul. Paul, how are y'all feeling in the chat right now? Are you as proud of us as we are right now?
We actually went on time.
On time.
On time, on target. I don't know if this has ever happened. It's a new leaf turnover. We had our 50th episode, 1 year anniversary, and now we're going to be on time. I would say don't get used to it because this might be a lucky stroke more than anything else. But anyway, wow. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm good, Paul. How are you? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Chill to Action's new time, or not, I'm sorry, not new time, same time, new date. Officially, Chill to Action is moving to Sundays.
So which is funny. It is funny about that because we did this specially because we wanted to accommodate our guest schedule, and all of a sudden it became a thing. So it's almost like they have power over us. Like they moved our day to Sunday, and all of a sudden now it's just going to be Sunday the rest of the time.
Sunday.
Sunday is music chill day. So, well,
Sunday is chill day.
I do have to bring on our other friend. I'm going to steal his thunder here. He always says he's only here for the good ones. So this might be a case where this must have to be a good one. You know him, you love him. Hopefully he doesn't go full Belford and scare anybody off. But he is the man, the myth, the legend, Billy Belford. How are you doing, my friend?
What's up? I'm back again on a Sunday with two of my favorite people, and Danielle and Paul. This one is going to be, I say that I'm only here for the good ones. This one is going to be a great one. This is one people have been asking for since we started the show.
That's
because we have two of the greatest people on the face of the earth, inside the Schmodown, outside the Schmodown. They're both amazing and amazing because we have Mara Knopic, and she's amazing. And we have the current singles champion, Dan Murrell. This is not a test, folks. There they are.
Hi.
Yes.
They are here. We are here. We are all together. We have been working on this, I think, since Spectacular, I believe, is when we started this conversation. And here we are. It's worth the wait. So happy you guys are here. How are we doing tonight?
Good. It's ironic that we're together now because Mara and I, for a very rare occasion where we're not together. I'm in Arkansas. She's in LA.
So we're bringing relationships back together, even though you're far away. That's our job. Making love happen. We're matchmakers of a sort. Well, Danny,
I think they can talk to each other, like even though they're in two different states.
Well, yeah, but we're making it a work time.
I haven't spoken to her in 5 days. I was waiting for this podcast.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for this. This was just such an opportunity.
Well, whatever we could do, we love, and we're very much a loving podcast. So
awesome.
That is absolutely the essence of chill. So we're glad that we can have this group date together. We're glad to have it. Dan, Mara, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Sunday. I almost said Monday. I'm so used to that. We're so pumped to have you here. Like everyone knows, this has been one of our big fish. No pun intended. Sorry about that, y'all. This is one of our big catches that we were here as always. So I want to get started with the first question of the night, and I just want to know, Dan, Mara, this is for both of y'all. What were just your initial thoughts of the game when you started playing in the Schmodown? Dan, I'll let you go first.
After you started way before I did.
I did. I think that I had played with Mark Riley way back in the days when it was just a segment on the Schmoes No Show. And so I knew it as this there's literally, 8 people in the room. It was Christian and Mark, and then your opponents, and then maybe a couple people hanging out on the couch or whatever. So it was this very small thing. And Mark and I played a couple games, and then we got, I was beaten by my current partner, John Roca, and Matt Notes beat Mark Riley and I in the tournament. And then I didn't play again for a while. And when they relaunched with Collider, they wanted, this big match. And there'd always been this thing. And John Campia had never done movie fights. And they always wanted to see us play each other. And I really had no concept that it was going to be anything bigger than what I knew, which was that it was just this fun thing. And I knew Christian and Mark. It was a really fun segment. And I knew most of the people that did it. So I really was not prepared for how big it was going to grow when they relaunched or went into season, I think 3 on Collider. and the fact that it's grown so much from there, and really even I was shocked with when I did the reveal when I came out of retirement. It even took such leaps and bounds from the time that I left, and like seeing that audience and the sound that they made, I realized that man, this thing got huge. Like this is crazy. So it's weird. I came into it thinking it's this game that friends play, and then it's grown to this just a literal network at this point of different things.
That's right. And Mara, when you see Dan having such fun and getting so much success, and then you decide to get involved, how did that work? Were you gung ho from the beginning, or did they have to kind of coerce you a little bit, or how'd that go?
Well, it's funny because from the very beginning, the one thing that I always wanted to dig my hands into was question writing, because I have a lot of experience writing exams, like nuclear related exams from my former occupation. But just from a logistical standpoint, that was what kind of drew me to wanting to become more invested. But they had a good team at the time, and there wasn't really a need because the Schmodown was so much smaller back then. So I just would watch movies with Dan, help him study, do the most I could. I really helped him beef up on horror movies. I'm very proud of that. I know one specific Schmodown match that he won based on knowing Ethan Hawke was in Sinister. So I was very happy about that. But no, I've told this story a couple of times, and I'm sure Christian always cringes subconsciously, even though he doesn't know I'm talking right now. But every year at Comic-Con, at San Diego Comic-Con, he would ask me at like a party or something like, hey, you ever thought about doing Schmodown stuff? And I'd always say, yeah, sure. Just like, let me know what's going on. And then he'd forget he asked. And so I think it was the third year. Finally, I reminded him. I was like, you've asked me this a couple of years in a row now, and I'm totally into it. Whatever you want to do. So then we just followed up on it, and then so I came in that next season. So it's always just a matter of I was interested, but I wasn't pushing for anything. It just sort of happened organically when it was supposed to happen, I guess.
Sounds good. All right. And obviously you both have had tremendous success. We'll shift back right now right now, Dan, a tournament just happened with Corruption. You guys had a tough match, but it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. That's all I care about. Obviously winning would be preferred, but as long as it's a good game, as long as I'm happy with how I played the game. I thought it was very funny though, because I watched the Kevin Smith match.
Okay.
And I didn't put this together until today. In successive weeks, we both were not able to correctly answer Bruce Willis for a very critical question. Bruce Willis is the bane of right now of existence, because I just realized it's 2 weeks in a row now where Bruce Willis has been the correct answer, and neither of us has been ever able to pull the correct name.
Well, do you want to tell them what we found out after the match? Because I think you talked about it on Patreon, but not publicly.
Oh yeah, I did the interview after the match, and I went back to talk to Mara, because just to make sure that there's no accusations of any kind of impropriety. Mara always, if it's a live match, Mara always watches it in the back with the door closed in the bedroom, or if she was in the office for the team's match, but she's nowhere near me. I can't see her. She can't see me. I came back and I was just like, oh man. And I was beating myself up a little bit over the speed round. And I said, like, I didn't know, like, there's so many people in Copland. And I said Sylvester Stallone, but I was pretty sure it wasn't him, because I know he's not a detective. And she was like, you mean Cop Out, right? And I was like, no, Copland. And she said, Dan, they asked you about Cop Out. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course that's Bruce Willis. My brain heard, and this is the speed round for you, my brain heard Copland. And so even when they repeated the question, my brain still heard Copland, because I'm trying to think of the answer, because you're listening to the question, but as they're reading the question, you're trying to think of the answer ahead of it, so that when they finish, you can immediately answer. My brain heard Copland, and it wasn't until afterwards when Mara told me, she's like, you know that Bruce Willis was in Cop Out. I was like, oh, Cop Out. Oh, well, that makes much more sense.
Well, it makes sense, because then when you get a repeat, you're not really asking to repeat the question 9 times out of 10. It's just you know, you got to hear. So you already know what the question is. You're thinking. You're not even listening to the second repeat.
Right,
So, I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
luckily, you lost by more than 1 point, so it didn't come down like to that moment.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I
we
think
would
you
lose
lost by
by
2
2.
points, right?
We did,
Yeah,
but when you think about it, if I correctly answered Bruce Willis, though, you take away the point that I lost, and you
Sure.
add a point that I would have gotten.
Oh,
and
that's
there's your-
right. Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
even so, though, there's no guarantee that they would have ended up winning, though. So I mean, there's no hard feelings about it either way, because
No,
sudden death, we've always seen it can go either way.
It was a great game. That was the one mistake that I made that I kind of kicked myself over. But at the same time, it came down to the 5-point question, and they played. You look at how they played. I mean, come on.
They were on top of. Yeah, they were on top of it.
That's it's hard to beat any team that's playing that well. So for us to be going up against them, for them to play as well as they did, and for us to keep it going down to the 5-pointer, you can't really complain other than not being able to win the game.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about a happier answer that you got, but maybe a question that had more on the line than you thought, because they asked a question about a song in a movie, and we found out after the match that it is your guys' song.
Mhm.
So, Mara, when you're sitting in the back and they ask that question, are you like, he better get this right? He better get it right.
Actually, out of an abundance of caution, I actually use my iPhone and I tape myself watching the match, where you can see that I'm not touching my computer. You can see the computer screen. So that way there's just 100% transparency if necessary. So actually, I'll do a little early plug. If you do check out Dan on Patreon, he did a breakdown of that match, and we cut in a clip of me during that last question, like, because I kind of talked to the iPhone just because it feels like I'm talking with somebody, and the cats were running around like crazy because I have to corral them so they don't distract him anyway. So it's like win-win. But yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, he knows this. I know he knows this. So it was really exciting to see that. I didn't know if Ethan knew it or not. I thought he would have. So, I mean, because he's such a great player.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great rivalry between you guys, Dan. You always put on great matches, so I'm always looking forward to 3, 4, 5 as much as we can get out of that rivalry.
Oh, we'll play each other again. I'm
I'm positive.
100% sure.
I wanna ask you a question, Dan. You've already experienced the new speed round. Mara, as a competitor who hasn't experienced the new digital speed round like this, how do you feel about that new round?
Oh, I'm just as excited as Dan is, because the only 3 times that I've ever had to do a speed round, one of which was the day after my accident. So I could not even physically really move to try to buzz in. So I didn't get a single question because I just couldn't move. But if I had just been asked 10 questions in a minute, I probably would have done, pretty well, I imagine. And so even besides just physical limitation, I like the idea, just like how Dan has shared, it really comes down to, are you evenly matched with your opponent? There is a strategy to the speed round between choosing to pass, gambling to answer, just like there is with any other, but you're on your own timetable mentally, not someone else's. And it does take out any physical advantage that someone could have, or even training with the old buzzers. There are some buzzers that are extra touchy, and that can be a good thing if you know the answer, but it can also really hurt somebody, even somebody that wants to buzz in a lot, if you barely touch them, that sometimes they'll buzz in. And if you don't know the answer, then you've just lost a point, for no reason. So I like the idea that you just get to show what you know, and your partner or opponent gets to show what they know. And then it's just however it shakes out, if they've done better or if you happen to do better. So I like it, but I don't know if they'll keep it, but I know that at least I think the two of us we'd campaign, we'd sign that petition, right, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Definitely.
Your faction mate might not agree. I think Ben Bateman loves those buzzers because he is so damn good.
Because he's good at it.
He's good at it, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
If Paul Oyama would probably vote to keep him too. I mean, yeah. Of course, if you're good at it, you're going to vote to keep it.
Absolutely right. Well, that makes sense. Now you're facing Ben. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, he took me all the way to the edge, to the limit last time. So, people, it's when people say the Schmodown is a sport. I think that one of the prime examples of it that you can point to saying that that's the truth is that it seems like there's a lot of people that always judge you based on your last game. So it's like if you look at any NFL team, or particularly in the NFL, the Colts lose a game. or 2 games, then they're the worst team ever. They're never making the Super Bowl. Fire the coach. Replace the quarterback. We need a new defense. Give up on the season, and then they have a run and they go deep into the playoffs. But I know that people watch that teams match, and all of a sudden, Ben. But then you come back and you see what happened on Friday night. So this idea that he's been exposed, blah blah blah. It's like, listen, I've played the guy. I've stood across the stage from him. I know what kind of competitor he is. I know that he is going to bring every trick in the book to employ against me, which strategically he's going to analyze every scrap of game tape that there is. So I know exactly who he is. Honestly, the only thing that brings me, that I feel like I can take any pressure off is knowing that the faction points are not an issue. Because regardless of who wins and it stays in the faction, that was not an advantage I had when I played Ethan. So that's the only place where I kind of let my foot off the gas a little bit. Is I know that I don't have to worry about, well, I have to win because we need the points. We want to get back up in the first place, which we're going to. But so that actually takes a little bit of pressure off of me.
Real quick, we do have a super chat from Jake Acavetta. Now I can finally stop bothering Dan and Mara about coming on the show. LOL. Yes, Jake is our little social networking guy. He tends to
Jake has been a great advocate for getting us on the show. Me in particular.
Yeah, we do that together. D Train, we'll just throw a chat in there now. It's just there for super chat. How is Dan Murrell going to watch Tenet for a review?
Ooh, do you want to tell them what you're doing tomorrow night, Dan?
I am in Arkansas. I came to see family and take care of a few things, but theaters here are open. So I will be. The early screenings start tomorrow, and I'll be going tomorrow. And I am, however, keeping the option open. I have an N95 mask because I don't want to just protect others. I need to protect myself, and I need to protect Mara. I need to protect everyone that I'm interacting with while I'm here. So I have an N95 mask, and I'm also going to be, if I get into a situation where I feel like it's unsafe, if the regulations aren't being followed, I'm not just going to stick there because I want to see Tenet. Obviously I do, but I could see it a day later and whatever. There were already some super secret screenings for some critics, I guess, that were like, I want to know who made the double secret list to get to go in early screenings, because let me tell you, it wasn't everybody.
Wow. All right.
I went to a movie theater yesterday. I went and saw New Mutants yesterday in the theaters, and they were actually really good about social distancing. There were marks everywhere. There were arrows. There was every other row. You could only sit with, it's assigned seating when you buy the ticket. You could only sit with people you bought tickets with, and it would close out the seats around you once you bought those tickets. So it's as safe as it can be, I guess you could say.
Or we could all just wear our masks for a little while longer, shut down, and then we can all go to theaters like normal people if we can get this thing beaten. But I won't say that again. My friend Richard Arby is in Estonia. He's our friend. He's one of our co-hosts on the show occasionally, and he saw it because his theaters, everything's open. Their numbers are down. Of course, he was also in Tenet as an extra, so that was definitely a cool experience.
Oh.
So we got to spot the Jarvie, but he's wearing like all sorts of like FBI or SWAT team type stuff, so it's going to be hard, but we'll find it. We'll make sure we do.
I always like watching Star Trek Into Darkness because my manager, Coy, is one of many Nibirans, so I always think it's fun to watch it.
Mike's in that too, I think. I think Mike Alliston as an officer at some point, I think.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
He walks by or something to that effect. I don't really remember, but I heard him say that once.
Oh, I'm so jelly. I want to be in a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That's real
Cool.
Well, Mara, we should talk to you about your IG run. Now, at least your current run. You were supposed to come back this year, and things, didn't work out for various reasons. Where are we on that as far as next year, maybe coming back? Or how are we thinking?
We're hoping so. I'm going to be in the process of, I'm going to be changing doctors very soon because the VA healthcare system sucks. So we're going to try to utilize some other resources. Luckily, people in Dan's family know everyone everywhere. So we're kind of pulling some strings to get a new cardiologist lined up and some better healthcare. But we're doing a little medication shuffle, which is always fun because the one great thing about things being digital now is it actually does open up some possibilities that didn't exist with physical shows, because the physical shows was taxing enough just like physically with strength, and I'm getting a little stronger. I'm able to eat and keep down food a lot more. So that's always good, because I was starting to not be able to fit in clothes from the Target kids section anymore, which is where I get most of my clothing. So when you have to start going to the children's place instead of Target, things are getting pretty dicey. But yeah, I've been talking with Christian and with my manager to try to see once the mental fog clears, since it's digital, it's a lot safer. I can just sit right here, which is where Dan sits when he competes. And, the risk is very, very low. So as long as I can get the side effects of medication, which make your brain feel like it's just molasses. Like the analogy I always tell people is that when I realized that something was definitely going to be really challenging about the idea of trivia, when we were watching Jeopardy, which we would watch every single day when it was still regularly scheduled and new programming and stuff. And they asked a question about, I think it was like Thomas Jefferson. And I was just sitting there and I was thinking, I was like, and it just wasn't coming. And it's like Thomas Jefferson, a name every single person knows. It couldn't pop into my head no matter how hard I tried. So I'm hoping that between medically, logistically, and with Schmodown stuff, that maybe there's a path that we can hope that I can come back sooner rather than later, especially because I'm hungry. I've never gotten to touch the new belt. I've never had the new belt. I had the old belt. So I wouldn't mind getting my hands on it. That could be fun.
All right.
It's very different now, though, so we'll see.
Yeah, it definitely changes.
I am very happy that you were with the Mercs. I think the pairing of you and Coy together is such a fun one. Have you had an opportunity to kind of like have some chats with the rest of your faction mates or anything like that?
Not as much. They were doing a lot of kind of group get-togethers when people were physically allowed to get together, and unfortunately I couldn't join them just because of people, because I was wearing a germ mask before it was cool. I was doing back 2019, so yeah. But no, I mean, we have a big group chat, always cheering each other on. It's, and I have a lot of close relationships with people in the faction already. So, we try to keep in touch with as many people as we can, considering this is the new how you keep in touch with people. Yeah. But I'm really lucky that, I also have to point out though, that I may have been the person that suggested the name the Quirky Mercs when we had to change from the Mouthy Mercs. So
another trend. They're all over.
Behind the scenes.
I like that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell all the secrets.
Welcome.
Well, you talked about how Dan's family knows people everywhere. We actually had the pleasure of meeting Dan's mother in Atlanta. We sat directly behind her. Oh yes. And it was the entire Action Army section that sat directly behind her. And I was adopted into the family on the caveat that I had to root for Dan, which was fine because we were rooting against Bateman anyway. And, and we inducted her into the Action Army. She's officially an Action Army member. It was so great.
You told me.
Mama Goat.
That's right.
She said that there were some very enthusiastic fans sitting right behind her.
What a wonderful way to describe Belford.
Enthusiastic is probably the nicest way I've ever heard him described, actually, but we'll take it.
Yeah, she said she had such a good time.
She did. She had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun there. Yeah, Robert did see your in Houston as well. It's true. That's true.
I was. My mom was there, and then I had some a couple friends from college also who live in Atlanta were able to come and see the show, which was great. And then
and your Uncle Thomas in Houston too.
Yeah, in Houston, my uncle was there, and then I saw the boat. The boat sat next to my mom in Houston because she told him to sit down. He was standing there, and she was like, "Sit down, don't stand." So yeah, it was great. It was great.
Well, I always like the story when your mom told Andrew Guy to be nicer to you.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, tell me what your mom said just this last week about you possibly playing Andrew again.
She said if I played him again, she said, "Now you need to remind him that your mother's watching, and I will talk to him again if I need to."
My whole heart.
That might be the one mom who's not a big enthusiastic fan of Andrew Guy that's out there, because moms tend to love him, but I get why.
Well, not when it's my mom.
Yeah, I get why. Speaking of that, Dan, you came on the Action Guys and talked about match that it's been time healed all wounds, so to speak, as far as things go. But I'm actually curious, Mara, to get your take on that whole experience when the match Guy Murrell happened, the whole day that happened. How were you taking it? We heard Dan's side. I'm curious what your thoughts were as that it went down.
Well, it was interesting because, it's in the studio, so it's totally different, I think, unless some of the fans here have ever been in a studio match. But the crowd was actually the thing that was that I was finding to be the most kind of troublesome for me, because I was sitting next to someone who like right before the match was just like, oh, super, super nice, someone I didn't know very well. And then the minute the match started was like being really cruel, like not like, because you're an audience member, you're not a character or anything. And they were just being really, really like inappropriately derisive towards Dan. And even if it had been towards Andrew, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like that. Like I know that some people, whether it's Andrew or anyone else that's a heel, I encourage respectful, at least like if someone is doing well, even if they're just being terrible, like you can politely applaud, like that's okay. So I was really upset at the people next to me, and it took every ounce of self-control I had to not do anything about it. But I can tell that, it was really surprising. I think that because when Dan had come back at that time, again, character stuff was not like really in matches at that time when he was in. And so I think it was just really shocking to see the game had changed so much, and that there wasn't like, now there's a lot more reeling in at the table as far as like in around while people are answering questions, keeping that stuff, tightly segmented. And so it was just really different. And to just see that it was not what we thought it was, and it didn't seem like it was fun. I think that was the hardest part, was just seeing that this thing that Dan had always done that was like so fun, that it just wasn't fun that time. But I mean, I'm sure that other people have seen that, Dan and Andrew are they get along really great. There's no like animosity or anything. Is that your mom, Dan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's going to bed.
She's going to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and Andrew is just such a nice guy. He actually helped me out a lot after my car accident, with referring me to some people that he knew to help me and stuff like that. So everything's all good there behind the scenes, but it was just such a surprise. That's all.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you're away, it's funny because I've been doing I'm doing a project of my own a little bit with the crew, and we were watching. I just watched you're winning the belt, Dan, for the first time when you beat Riley. That was a great moment, but it was funny how different it was, because we've been there all throughout. You don't like realize how much has changed until you go back and you're like, wow, what a different atmosphere this is.
Yeah, and then to do that, and I was very upfront with Christian when I decided to come back, which was like I hadn't really kept up with it. I knew that Sam was doing really well, just because people would kind of tweet at me and tell me how much better he was than me. But other than true story, other than that, I hadn't really kept up with the story and the new people and the storylines, and so to my detriment, that's my fault. But taking that gap and then coming back in, it really was surprising. Like I said, when I did the reveal, I was shocked by like, oh wow, this really has changed. And even then, I did the bit with Guy on stage, and it's like, oh, it's a live show, it's like theater, you whatever. But yeah. It has changed. And I think even with the new tone and tenor of the game, that one was even still a little more, because there was so much energy behind it and so much buildup behind it. And I think he walked out there thinking that he was going to lose. And I don't think that that's insulting, but I think he went out there kind of, it was a huge thing. And so he played a great game. I didn't play a good game. And it's, yeah. So it was a learning experience, but that's how it goes.
I think you have the reveal and coming back, and then you play Guy and you lose, and then you go into the tournament. I think you lost in the tournament as well. that
did.
year?
I think I got one. I think I played Stacy, and then I want to say maybe Ethan was the second match that I had, and I only lasted one match into the tournament, and then he TKO'd me again. So I think 2 out of 3 games I got TKO'd.
But then you come to New York for the first live event outside of Schmodown. This is a huge deal. You know, people from all over the country are now at this New York event. You win the belt, and then there's this seminal like Schmodown moment in history of this chant of "You deserve it." Like, and we were in the crowd, Paul and I, and it's like a wall of sound because we were right up front, you know, right near the stage, and it felt like a wall of sound hitting like, the stage. I don't know how that moment was for you.
I'm insane. I mean, it's hard to kind of put that into words with that, you know, because it came at the end of a very weird road and a very long road, both in front of the camera in the showdown and then just personally, with things that have been going on with my family. And so it really was. And then to have Mara there, obviously, was to be there. And I love New York. It's always been a very special city to me that I've always loved to visit. So much in that moment really meant a lot. And especially facing Ethan and knowing that, you know, walking out there on the stage, knowing that it's very possible, because it happened the last time, that it's not going to be a close game, that he could knock me out again. And to be able to fight and win, and that was just it's a very special moment, really. It's just a lot of things came together in that moment.
Wow, that's great thoughts. Great thoughts. Well, we all talked about Mara's IG run. Now, before we're talking about going back to IG. At one point, Dan, you mentioned that you were going to join her in that embark, and then you decided not to for various reasons. You had your reasons and everything else. Is that still something in the cards in the future, or is that so? It is
definitely. Yeah, no, I you know, I mean, it's I'm not going to play the game forever, I don't think. But one thing that has been on my to-do list from the very beginning, I've always said that if I had been able to, if XX5XX hadn't happened, if I had been able to last to the end of that first free-for-all, I may have cashed in for the Inner Geekdom belt, because I've just always been interested in that division, because I love so many of those movies so much, and I love those, you know, I love watching those movies so much. I didn't know at the time how many times I would have to commit myself to watching X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that's okay. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility, and I have every intention of entering that division next season.
Well, plus, if I'm able to come back, then if you're helping me study, it just makes natural sense that why wouldn't you at least give it a shot?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to say. We want to say the two of you fight, because that's what good fans
that's
want.
The dream,
right?
That's the match.
Seriously.
Well, no, I would love to play her, you know, especially if we both get to the point where it's a title match. If, you know, she comes back and wins the belt, and then I can fight my way up. That would take so much pressure out of being in a belt match, because, you know, we both support each other so much, and I know we would help each other prep. And it's
and it would be amazing, because it would go into 32-round overtime probably, because we'd know all the same things.
Exactly.
But I mean, it would be amazing, because if I won, I'd have a title defense, which would make us both happy. If I lost, he'd be the first competitor to win 3 different divisions and a free-for-all also. So it's like, we'd both be happy for each other. There wouldn't be any hard feelings.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, you know, unless, you know, if John and I are team champions, you know, if we get into the tournament, you know, and then if we can make a run through the tournament and go down to spectacular and get the belt back, and then if I'm able to defend and I'm a double belted champion again, you know, I don't know if I would jump into it instantly, because I think we've seen, and I don't think this says anything about the competitors themselves, how difficult it is to play in 3 divisions at once. And Christian told me, he's like, I'm telling you, it's really difficult. I don't know, when I talked about doing all 3 at once before I decided to pass on the tournament earlier this year. So I think it would probably be a situation where I would be in a position where I would feel comfortable stepping back from one of the 2 divisions I'm currently in order to really put focus on IG. Because, you know, I do think that you don't want to spread yourself too thin.
I would love to see 2 back-to-back title matches for Inner Geekdom against Dan and Mara, and for Star Wars against Molly and Alex. That would be 2 fun. 2 fun title matches to watch for sure.
Yeah, I'd like that too. That'd be a good time.
Real quick, we do have a couple of more super chats and Streamlabs want to get to real quick. Alex Shashak there. Yes. Mara versus Dan IG match at a live event. It would be so fun. Also, can you go over the patterns of those pillows behind Mara? Thanks for coming out of C2A.
Yes, I can. I'm very crafty, so I make my own pillowcases. This was a Star Wars one. So, oops, that's why. So just
I love it.
then we've got Star Trek.
Of course.
Oh, very nice.
Of course. The Batman.
That's my favorite Batman design, the blue.
And Harry Potter.
Oh, very cool.
And there's also a surprise bonus. There's an ugly kitty cat pillow.
No such thing as an ugly
That's
kitty
the
cat,
one.
as far as I'm concerned. I'm
Yep.
surprised mine's not here too. Mine usually chops out
So,
on stream.
Mara, the Star Trek pillow that you have, it says USS Enterprise on there. I saw an interview with you earlier today where that was the first ship that you went to after boot camp, right?
Well, sort of. First, I had to I go to school after boot camp, but then after a few years, then when I reported to my ship, I was on the USS Enterprise, the real one.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but so Mara was in the Navy. She was a nuke in the Navy, which is you work on nuclear elements of the ships and different things. It's literally the hardest school in the military to get into. It's like 1% of the people who take the test pass it, and then it's ridiculous. It's a crazy school. It's super smart. It's no
Splitting
joke.
atoms is my hobby.
Stop.
I love that.
I was a linguist in the Marine Corps, which is the second hardest school to get into. So I was
Oh,
very
dude, that's
impressed.
amazing.
Yeah. It's a much more fun place than you go to Monterey, California. It's like high school. I was studying Spanish, which I already knew, so it was I just hung out in Big Sur most of the time. It was a rough life.
Wow.
Hey, I understand.
Is our Spanish
tax
speaking
dollars at work.
He's our Spanish server. When we have to translate to Spanish, that's what we bring Billy on for that.
It's me,
Oh, do
yes.
you speak any other languages?
I know words in a bunch of other languages, but I don't really speak anything. So,
I'm
konnichiwa,
curious.
mushy mushy.
We do have some other ones. We did have a couple. John Lestrina wanted to know are there any more classic charts with Dan in the vault?
John is one of my patrons. Hi, John. No, well, maybe. I'll tell you, it's this weird thing that I've discovered on YouTube. It's not so much with Patreon, actually. It got a great response with patrons. But this thing that I found on YouTube, which is if I do something that I'm super excited about, and I'm wow, this is a really kind of different, neat idea, and I think people are gonna love this. They don't. Or they don't watch or something. So I found that people were not fans necessarily of the classic charts. It's because I did one that was back in 1999, and we got wardrobe, and I had a Zoom backdrop, and it was in my bedroom, and I was actually super excited about it. YouTube, not so much. So I still want to kind of think out of the box and do stuff like that, but I don't know if we have any more.
At some point, I want us to do the 1980s so that way I can crimp my hair.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. I'd like to actually get into your transition from Screen Junkies into your channel, but we did have one more. Patrick Harden, who, by the way, if I just found out, is a new Action Army general, so I'll give you the salute, Patrick Harden. He wants to say he donated a very generous amount to say, I'm saying hello to Dan and Mara more as an excuse to donate than anything. I've chatted with you both. I've chatted with you. Both of you before, and I like you both, but tonight is about me helping to keep the lights on. Well,
Thank you
Thanks.
on behalf of the podcast. Thank you for donating, Patrick. That's amazing.
that is amazing. We're very, very happy to do so.
It's funny because we talk about general in the Action Army. You might get a kick out of this, Mara. When Ben and Drew started the Action Army, their Patreon, they had tiers, and they're all military ranks. But it's two guys who clearly have never been a part of the military, or so the ranks were all petty officer was the highest rank above captain and major.
Oh,
The top one, the top one was brigadier general over regular general. So what I wrote, I wrote because of a rock. Because of the rock. Brigadier General Hummel. You know that. We don't.
Clearly, he's
Wow.
Harris, our boy.
I love it. So you guys helped them out then?
when I took over running their when they had me hired, they had me to run their Patreon, I was like, I gotta swap this all out. This just looks bad, and this is almost gonna be insulting to some people. We just gotta change this around a little bit, guys. And they're like, all right, sure. They're like, how could
Marine, it was really cringy. It was like very
highest
weird.
rank. I was like okay.
Corporal was the second highest rank. I was like, what is going on here?
Oh no.
No, I know how they are. No, I think the correct ranks is it goes Brigadier General, Tony Todd, Michael Bean, right?
It should be. That's
right. That's the rank, right?
I would have fixed that and then make it all about System Rock, because that's right.
Well, it gets even more confusing though, because you've got like Michael Bean in The Rock and then Michael Bean in Aliens. So
That's
it's
true.
Okay. And Michael Bean in The Abyss.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you got all sorts of rank issues there.
Against Ed Harris again.
He's an officer in Terminator as well. So
That's right.
what Michael Bean are you talking about?
There we go.
We love a Michael Bean.
They're all the tiers. It's just different
yeah.
Michael Bean ranks.
Yes.
That's the tiers of the Patreon.
I would have audible into an early this or that. Michael Bean or Bill Paxton?
Oh, Michael
God,
Bean for me.
I got to go Paxton. It's a very tough choice, but I got to
See,
go
I had an iguana named after Corporal Hicks in Aliens when I was a child, so I have to go with childhood love, not adult person logic.
Totally. I don't even know what I just asked that. I don't even know what my answer would be. I think it might.
I mean, I based mine entirely off of Twister, so you're basing yours off an iguana. Isn't that out of the box?
Fair. I was called Dusty for like 2 years because I bear a slight resemblance to Philip Seymour Hoffman in that movie. So
See that.
it was a good time in my life.
All right. Bring it back a little bit. You obviously we made the big. You were on Screen Junkies for years. That's where you made your name. But then you decide to leave and you want to build your own brand. How did that all? I mean, I know you did a video on it, but like, how did that begin now? And like, where you are now, are you happy with the process and everything that's gone down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy. It was the product of a very, very long deliberation and series of meetings and discussions and very open, very candid, very honest discussions. And I appreciated that. I think that's the benefit of working with people for a very long time is that you can be very honest with each other. And so I was very open about what I wanted and the directions I wanted to go. They were very open about the roads and the possible avenues that they saw in the future. And ultimately those discussions kind of came to a point where we decided, well, then I think perhaps this might be the time for me to go my own direction. And so that's what I did. Obviously the pandemic was not part of the plan. The day that I was supposed to tell everyone that I was leaving was the first day that they closed our office. And so literally me starting the channel coincided almost day for day with this whole shutting down of the movies. And of course, at that time, we thought maybe it'd be a couple months. Like, okay, well, it's March. They might push the beginning of the summer movie season, but by June or July, we'll be back and, we'll have the second half of the summer movie season. And so the concept of 6 months without movies coming out was certainly not on the table. So that's been a challenge. Mara has been very amazing in helping me brainstorm ideas of just like, how do we program this channel? Because it's supposed to be about reviews and box office, and we have neither. So it's been a great kind of bonding, creative thinking exercise for us.
Yeah.
But it also kind of is. It's been so amazing to see the support that I've gotten so far, and to know that we can be where we are, and I'm very happy with where we are. We're ahead of really even my wildest expectations at this point. But to know that we were able to get where we are without those things has just kind of been a very much a confidence booster. That I think that once there is some resumption of regularity and normality, that we can pepper in the stuff we've been doing, add in things like reviews, which are already starting to happen again, and box office, which is just now starting to happen again. And that, we could really have something that, could potentially grow much more than it has. But even at where it is, I'm very happy and very, very pleased with how it's gone so far.
It was amazing, the support that you got for the channel, like even before the channel even started, because it was like every day they were like, hey, let's have a goal for like where the channel, like how many people will have subscribed before the channel started, and you kept having to push the goal higher because they kept hitting the goal every day.
It was really crazy. And we had kind of made, and I understand, like when I was still at Screen Junkies, we said, okay, well, we're going to announce on this date and that I'm leaving. And then, I agreed, like, I'm going to hold off on really pushing. I'm not going to launch the channel till after I'm gone. And that's why I launched it the Monday after I officially left. And, I'm not going to make the whole thing about promoting and everything. It's like the focus should be on my time here and what I've done here and not promoting what's next. And so seeing that people were still willing to sort of join up preemptively was really just kind of a really touching thing, really, is all I can say. It's just like I was very shocked by that amount of support.
It just goes to show you that between the Screen Junkies community and the Schmodown community, that they are the best fans on the face of the planet.
Yeah,
totally agree. That's amazing. I gotta say, it's funny because I'll go behind the scenes now. You guys know I produced for Ben and Drew. When you were on, you broke that news to them when I was on screen, and I just kind of sat there. I had to sit on that for like a week or two, and I was like, I gotta tell somebody about this, and I didn't tell anybody. But I was like,
I remember that. I remember seeing your face. I was like, I'm sorry, I burdened you with this knowledge. I apologize.
Heard.
Who can I tell? Who can I tell?
My cat. I did tell my cat. That's about all I did.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's the most important thing. I've got two. I've got one over there and one over there.
You know what? That's a great next question for Mara. I have to know your opinion on Paul's cat's name. Please, Paul, tell Dan and Mara the name of your cat.
Your cats.
I have two
Both
cats.
of them.
This is the one that hangs out with me all the time over here.
Kitty.
This is Indiana Jones Marty McFly.
All right. I love it.
His little brother, who's like just the same, almost like a twin, but just smaller, is a short round Doc Brown.
Oh my gosh. So what's the name that you use when they're in trouble? Is it the full name or is it only half?
It's the full name. It sucks when they're both in trouble, so I got to say like 8 names in a row. It's kind of tough. But
can they tell how in trouble they are by how many names you use? Like
once I get to 6 names, they're running. They're running. They know.
I like Indiana Jones Marty McFly, but I have to say short round Doc Brown is kind of poetry.
I know, that's what I came up with. I was like, that's even better. We love an 80s movie in our house for sure. Yes, and yeah, sometimes we do call our show Cat to Action. That would be very true.
I love that. I'm trying. I have eye contact with both cats right now, and I'm psychologically encouraging them to come make an appearance, but they're both very cozy right now because they got fed right before we started. So that way they would have been going the whole time. So
if
I was told by a cat as a child, I'm terrified of them.
Hey buddy, you heard me talk about you, huh?
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Cats always equal ratings too. I found that too. Everybody seems to love it.
Cats and doggies.
Cats and dogs.
Yes, write that down, Dan. Cats equal ratings.
Cats equal ratings. Pet to action.
Well, we did actually have a suggestion in the chat earlier. Maybe while Dan was out of town, you could have a show of Mara and the Cats take over.
Well, right now, I will be completely honest. That is possible, but I am doing a little bit of a restructuring of our office. We're getting ready to make some upgrades to the set and stuff like that. So it's a mess. It's a real big mess right now.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
And is there
Speaking of,
potential
upgrades? You started during this pandemic, and at the start, it was like, oh, maybe this is a good idea because, like, it's an internet. I'll be unique, and then the pandemic happens, and immediately it's flooded the market with like everyone's making their own show or channel or anything, and then the price of any sort of gear that was web related like blew up. It was like you couldn't find anything good.
I've got a Blue Yeti microphone. It might be the last one. I think it might be the last one because we were looking for
Maybe
another
the last one ever,
and it's gone. But yeah, things like that webcam that everyone uses, can't find it because I was thinking about getting one just to have as if I want to do a show that's like a live stream, but I don't want to put a capture card. Just looking at different options. And I was like, oh, this is the webcam that everyone uses. Yeah, I don't think they even have them manufactured anymore. I think they're just gone. So yeah, I if I had left like 2 weeks later, I don't know if I would have gotten any gear. I would have been like setting up an old mini DV camera and like, finding a tape deck to capture it into the computer or something.
Well, and we got lucky too. We needed to get a different kind of microphone. So we got super lucky that we even found one. I went to some sources. Yes.
Was the first name Bobby? His last name was Gucci?
Honestly though, we did do a little bit of like a drug deal in the parking lot sort of thing with Gucci for some N95 masks because believe it or not, Bobby Gucci is a COVID compliance officer. And I made him some cookies and cream ice cream cups in exchange for Dan to have the protection that he's been using right now during his trip. So
and also
extra special thank you to Tom because Tom is amazing, by the way. We really, really love Tom.
Yeah.
Tom's a good guy. We love him too. The Gucci versus the whole thing going on with that. That's quite
it really is.
I want to ask you also, I know that you're really into baking. I love to hear you talk about baking, especially like when you get down to like the nitty gritty science of baking and stuff like that. That's always fun. Have you made is there anything that you've kind of invented on your own?
Well, sort of. So I just did these cookies and cream ice cream cups. So I made homemade ice cream. And I scraped out the innards of all the Oreos and I mixed it in with like the ice cream base. So the ice cream base was like pure Oreo filling flavor. And then I crumbled up all the Oreos and put them in there. But then I made like a shortbread crust, but out of the Oreo cookie. Mm-hmm. And then so I used I have this little perfect glass jar and I use these little cupcake cups, but they're made of like cardboard. And I made the little Oreo shortbread cookie inside of the cup. So it like went all the way up the sides. And then I filled it with the cookies and cream ice cream. And then I made like a dark chocolate ganache and I poured it over the top of it. And then I froze them. It was pretty amazing. It turns out that making homemade ice cream is not super hard. I thought it was really, really hard.
That sounds
Mara is like, she's like a great jazz musician when it comes to baking, which is like there's like a bass line or like a piano tune playing that's the recipe, and then she just riffs on that, and it just like escalates. I don't want to sound too much like Ryan Gosling and white guy explains jazz, but it just escalates into this other thing that's incredible. So
I also make a really good what's the word for it? A double doozy, which is like two different kinds of cookie. And then you make like some kind of like a frosting or something that goes in between them. And I made also really good whoopie pies. Dan, I think is that your favorite thing? Was the whoopie pie still?
I mean, it was up until like the last 2 months. You've been on fire. So
what about the wedding cake I made for Mark and Julie, or the birthday cake I made for Julie? I think is the one you really liked.
I really liked that, but I didn't really get to eat that. I got to eat what we had, but the carrot cake stuff was really good, and that ice cream was really good. But yeah, those whoopie pies were pretty good too. I don't know.
Eric is my Zoom buddy. We do a little Zoom watch along every Friday night. We watch a different movie. We watched Mask of the Phantasm this last Friday.
Yeah. And
one of our favorite Batman movies together.
She does make great macarons.
I feel like we're like torturing Dan a little bit since he's away on vacation and talking about Mara's baking. Like
no, he deserves this torture.
That's true. We don't get it ever. He gets all time, so.
And he doesn't look like me and Paul with all these baked goods running through the house. Like, are you on the treadmill while you're like there, or what's going on here?
We give them away. Mara gives them all away. So to make all of it, to give all the weight to our friends.
Ooh. Yeah, I want to give everyone we know diabetes.
Goals in
life. I love you.
Goals in life. So sweet. We're all so sweet that you get diabetes.
I loved what you said about birthday cake being one of your favorite things to make because you get to personalize it and special for other people. That's what cooking has always been for me. It's something for other people to create that relationship. So I love to hear you talk about food and baking and cakes.
What sort of stuff do you like to make for your friends?
So my grandmother was really into baking, so lots of cookies, but I am not fancy about a lot of stuff at all. The only like old recipe that I have of my grandmother's is this pan de polvo recipe, which is like Mexican wedding cookies.
Mm-hmm. I love those.
I make them every year for Christmas for my friends and my family, and it's my favorite thing to make. Cinnamon and sugar is my favorite. I love cinnamon, so.
So
I
next
make
slide.
Ooh,
we
I
got-
make a really good dessert waffle. I just make a waffle and then I put a little bit of melted butter all over it and I toss it in a huge thing with cinnamon and sugar and then I put caramel ice cream on it and that's breakfast.
It's really
Oh.
good.
Breakfast of champions right there. I have a true champion as well. So I love that.
Champs
If
breakfast.
you make flan, if you make flan, then
Champs
you're the
breakfast.
greatest woman on the planet.
I'm going to talk to Drew about that. I think we're going to change that to Champs breakfast. I like that a lot.
Me too. Paul, how you
That's what we
feeling?
need to do.
Is it time to go into this or that?
I think so, Paul.
All right, we're gonna have to do it now. You guys, if you've watched the show before, you know that I have this segment we call this or that. I'm going to be giving Dan and Mara option A, option B, and they get to choose between them. It could be anything. You guys can throw something in the chat if you'd like. They can ask for clarification. They can not and just go ahead and give short answers. It's up to them, really. So we have some that we've written specifically for them. We have some that we ask every week. It's kind of our baseline, so to speak, that we go come back and forth to. But without further ado, the first one we always ask, if you watched the show last week, our 50th episode, our 1-year anniversary, we had Team Action on. We got to show them a special video. A compilation. It's the compilation of every time we've ever asked this question.
It's not all worthy.
I wouldn't go but although they did love it. They both did love it because one half of Team Action is very, very, very good about the shit we like to give them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you Team Guy or are you Team Trader?
Oh my gosh. Dan, I'll let you go first.
I was wondering because you do have the faction. I know you have faction love, but you are facing him. So I'm wondering if you're gonna maybe
I
go.
think I still have to stick with Team Trader, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
Hey,
fine.
the faction's now tied because Gucci and Riley both picked Guy,
Gucci and I did both.
and Roka picked Bateman. So even it up.
Roka picked Bateman?
Roka did pick Bateman.
Yeah,
He's in his faction. That's why I picked him.
that's why.
Wow.
Impressive.
Well, I feel like just on the basis of choosing for once to mindfully disagree with Dan, I will choose Guy.
All right.
Yeah.
And also because, we've got great relationships with both of them, but I want to share the love. Share the love.
Good. I love that too. So far, actually, the score now after you two is 31-17 Guy at this point. So they did love it. They did love it. I'll send you the video.
I was so surprised. Don't tell him I said it like that, but I am.
We won't tell him at all, I promise.
We won't tell it. It's okay.
Okay, he'll never find out.
Molly Dang picked against him, he was so upset.
Was that Billy?
When Molly
He's
Dang
upset?
picked against him, he was so upset.
Well, Gucci was definitely the worst. Gucci was the one that kind of Ben just didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
No, but he's really good. Ben is really good about the show. Joking around. It was he takes it very well. So, all right, but moving on after that, after the initial question, now we're gonna have to make a season 2 video eventually. But all right, so next up, how about this?
Okay.
Kirk, Spock, and Bones, or Brody, Quint, and Hooper?
You did this on purpose.
That's not what I usually ask every week. You're right.
Because I compare these three all the time because it's the same dynamic. Okay. It's my favorite movie, so I got to go Brody, Quentin, Hooper.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to go Kirk, Spock, and Bones.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I always feel like I have to start doing a scoreboard about if you guys are on the same side or not on a lot of these things.
Well, I think my reasoning is that, obviously I have original series cast and I do love them, but I also would really love the dynamic of the new reboot cast. So I think because I've gotten, it's not necessarily style versus substance, etc., but I do have so much more and a variety of that more to choose from. So, but it's funny though, because Dan, who are you in Jaws?
I'm Brody.
And who am I?
You're Hooper.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. All
So
right.
who's Quint? Who's Quint?
Gucci.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All the sense in the world.
I can see Roka as Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh, I could totally see Roka as Quint.
Oh, yeah.
A little gruffer, a little older, a little.
That's the thing
He's
about
seen some
Scott
stuff.
Mance. He's got black eyes like a doll's eyes.
Oh god, that is phenomenal.
I love it.
Okay, how about
That was great.
Hans Zimmer or Michael Giacchino?
Oh, Michael Giacchino.
I gotta go Giacchino too. I think Hans Zimmer is a great composer, but he recycles too much, so I gotta go Giacchino.
That's a good point.
I like the idea that Hans Zimmer just routinely falls asleep on instruments, and that's a style. But some of the most amazing movie music that is not written by John Williams is written by Giacchino. I love it.
Okay, well, let me throw that in there then. I'll throw it in there. Giacchino or Williams for you, then?
No.
No. Wow.
That's fair.
I'm intimidated enough to say, okay, let's move on.
That never happened in the history of chilled action, but yes, we're here for it.
Oh, I'm glad I can make the highlight reel for next year.
There you go.
We'll definitely make that real. Okay, I don't let people get away with it often, but you are somebody special in that case. Okay, how about sweet treats or savory treats?
Savory.
I'm a sweet treats guy. So
I like sweet
I
myself.
crave more salty things. I don't have a big sweet tooth despite constantly baking sweet things.
Fair enough.
And Dan has a huge sweet tooth, which is great because he lives with me.
yeah.
That is pretty perfect. Okay,
Did you ever catch the there was a trend a while back, maybe like 10 years ago, where they would take typically savory desserts and put typically sweet desserts and put savory things into them, like garlic flan or like there are different flavors like sriracha ice cream and things like that.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled with it much, but I like that sort of stuff. I like those mashups. Those are cool for me.
It really like tricks the mind because like your mind is thinking, or your tongue is, or your mind is expecting something sweet, and then something savory hits your tongue, and you're like, what is going on here?
I also like stuff that's kind of in line with that thing a couple months ago where like everyone was freaking out because everything is cake. I like making cakes and cookies and things that look like real food, but are actually cakes.
Okay.
That was quite a trend for a little while. It actually freaked me out every once in a while. I saw some of those things. I was like, how
Dan did not see like any of this stuff. So one day I'm going to have to make a reaction video to Dan watching some of those everything is cake things because he missed this completely. He had no idea what it was. I had to explain it to him.
I actually have that in my notes to ask you about that, to ask your opinion about that, because I thought that whole trend was crazy also.
That video will be as good as when Mike Kalinowski watched the WAP video and Shannon filmed him watching that.
We need some reactions to different things. I like that. Okay. How about Bill Preston Esquire or Ted Theodore Logan?
I'll let you go ahead with this one, Dan.
I'm gonna go with Ted. I think that Ted has a very sweet aloofness to him. So I'm going with Ted.
Okay. All right.
Now I have to be honest, I had not seen a Bill and Ted movie until Dan showed them to me, and I've only seen them once, and I don't have enough to form an opinion because I've only seen them both once and I don't have a sentimental attachment to them like other people. So I will respectfully abstain, but just as a small nugget, I would go Keanu just because I love Keanu, but that's not a basis for an actual decision.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey, this is this or that. Anything can be a basis for a decision.
Yeah, you could say just on that, just because it's Keanu, I can go with them just because of that.
Keanu.
There you go. Keanu it is. Well, then, speaking of Keanu, I'll throw that one in there then. Matrix or John Wick?
John Wick for me.
John Wick.
John Wick, really? Oh, so
He's an animal activist.
Okay. That's very true.
If we had those kinds of punishments for animal cruelty, there wouldn't be so many Sarah McLachlan commercials talking to me about people abusing animals.
Oh my gosh.
Those are the worst. Like the best, but the worst. You know what I mean? Can't watch them. I can't. I get so sad.
No, we turned
Yeah.
the channel.
Yeah, definitely.
Same.
Okay. How about
It's like a train wreck? I have to watch the whole commercial.
Oh.
Then I'm crying.
crying? I'm giving my money away at that point.
Wait.
Poutine or loaded French fries?
I hate mayonnaise, so for me, it's loaded French fries.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
Wait,
You know
who
that I
told you
hate
there's-
mayonnaise.
who told you there's mayonnaise in poutine? There's no
That's what I mean,
mayonnaise
it's
in
gravy.
poutine.
Mayonnaise, or is it
It's
gravy?
gravy.
No, it's
Oh,
gravy
I thought
on
it was
French fries
mayonnaise.
with cheese curds.
No.
Well, I don't like gravy either, so still loaded French fries.
You're from Arkansas.
I think you're just trying to do this. You do realize loaded French fries have sour cream on them, right, Dan?
Yeah, but they
And
also
you hate
have
sour
bacon
cream.
and cheese.
Wait, are you one of those people that hate white things in food? That's a thing.
I am not. No, I am not a racist.
Okay.
How dare you?
No, there's literally people who will not eat white foods like cheese, sour cream, mayonnaise.
Oh, no. I don't like my sour cream and mayonnaise, but I like whipped cream and cheese and other stuff.
Vanilla ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yogurt. You eat yogurt.
Yeah.
I'm not
There we
allowed
go.
to talk about mayonnaise on this channel. So.
No,
Why?
Because mayonnaise is awful.
All right, I'll ask the question. We'll have the question there.
Well, I'm going to
When
go with
you-
poutine, by the way, because I never get to have it because I'm never up north. And when I am, because I stayed with cousins up there for a really, really long time. So I consider myself an honorary Canadian. And because I also love hockey. But I'm going to go with poutine, hands down.
All right. Oh, yeah, Eric Barnes saying you're wearing sour cream and mayo. Okay.
Thank you, Father.
The question we all had in our podcast is, how do you make your grilled cheese sandwiches? Do some people, I know, should I say why or should I just ask the question?
No, you got to say why, because that's the whole point.
Some people use butter on the bread and then put it in. Some people use mayo on the outside of the bread in order to make their grilled cheese sandwich. Which do you use?
All right. Are you ready for your minds to be blown?
All right. Yes.
Both.
On the outside?
So I do a
Wait,
little
like
tiny smear. Nope, I do a little smear of a salted butter, just a really super light amount. But then, especially focusing on the edges, I do a little bit of mayonnaise, and it just gets this crunch. Especially if you use Texas toast or like a really thick cut sourdough or something. You can ask Dan. Dan hates mayonnaise, but I was making it was a panini of some, or no, not a panini. It was like a veggie patty sandwich, like a buffalo chicken Morningstar veggie patty on Texas toast with some habanero jack cheese that I sliced up. And I was like, "Do you like it?" He's like, "Yeah, I love it." And so I made that and some other, like a burger, a bacon Gouda burger on the same bread a couple days later or something. And I asked him, I said, "Do you like it?" He's like, "Yeah, I like it." I was like, "Put mayonnaise on that." And he's like, "I don't even care. I like it." So both.
I have never heard someone go with both. That's a very different.
But you're cooking it off the mayonnaise, like it's cooked off a little bit, so you're not
you
using
can taste
regular mayonnaise, like so.
Alex was very much team mayo. That's what it was. She was her part of the conversation. She was very team mayo. I was very team butter. I've never tried both. So. Okay, all right. Well, how about this one then? I know. Pretend your cats can't hear you.
Okay.
Sir Pounce or Muffin.
Oh no. That's like asking, do I want to cut off my right arm or my left arm? And I'm ambidextrous, so it doesn't matter. So like
I'm gonna throw her under the bus. Brandy Parker gave me that one, just so you know, so you can yell at her later on.
If you think I'm choosing between one of my two adopted cats, you are sorely mistaken.
I'll say this. If you want the cuddle bug, you're gonna pick Sir Pounce.
Okay.
If you want psychotic, playful she demon, then you want Muffin, because she like gets really catnipped out and she gets like those super big eyes and then she just runs around like crazy and she likes to kill her toys, so I routinely have to sew them up and I put new catnip in them and then I just find like catnip all over the floor somewhere and I'm like, okay, she killed it. So
she has this little bell on a
pipe cleaner.
And what she does, it's the most frightening thing I've ever seen. You'll toss it across the floor and she'll run after it and she'll catch it and she'll pick it up in her mouth and she'll break its neck and then put it back on the ground. It's terrifying.
Oh man, I'll have to try to send it to you guys at some point. So that way, if we ever come back, you can show it. But I finally got birds to come to our bird feeders that are on our patio. And the very first time, like I took a little video of like Muffin was looking at him and she just charged as hard as she could into the glass. But I mean, she like, if you freeze frame it, she like stops herself like a millimeter before she actually hits the glass. But it was so surprising. It scared me so bad. I started screaming and I was like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you? Are you fine?" And she's just sitting there like hunting the birds. She doesn't even care. It was so crazy.
True.
She's a little predator. She would murder everything outside if we let her out.
Okay, so I have to ask, did you name Sir Pounce after Tommen's kitten?
Yep. We got Sir Pounce. He turned 6 years old 7 7 years old this year, right? Is that right, Dan? Yeah. And so when I got him, his name was Simon when he came from the rescue, but he wasn't a Simon and he didn't like it very much. And I was rereading Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones was becoming a big thing. And I was like, you're Sir Pounce, because he would boing. He's like a bunny and he boings around. So I was like, you're Sir Pounce.
I love it.
Sorry, Brandy. Oh, yeah, that's okay.
She's one of my mods too.
I know.
I love Brandy, by the way. We won't
Brandy's
hold it
awesome.
against you ever.
Action Army as well. We love
I
Brandy.
mean, at least Paul waited a while to throw her under the bus. Oh wait, no, he didn't.
I went right at it. I was scared of Mara, but she said no earlier. I was scared of her. I'm a little intimidated.
No, I'm this big. Don't be scared.
Don't let her fool you.
Catch
She
that.
crush you with her bare hands.
It is
That's
true. Dan, tell them about my my ridiculous hand strength.
She has an insane amount of hand strength. I don't mind admitting it. It's
Like Superman 2, I think, a handshake.
It's like she's like Ursa. She could pick up a steel bar and just bend it in front of you. It's astonishing.
I cheat when I arm wrestle back in the Navy. I would never try to actually move someone's arm. I would just squeeze their hand as hard as I possibly could, and then if they gave up, I would win.
That's a great tactic.
I would be done in a heartbeat. I have no grip strength. I have none.
Did you go full over the top while you did it? Like, did you turn your hat around?
I mean, I had a quite a large selection of hats, but we were not allowed to turn them around. So unfortunately, no, I wasn't that cool. I wasn't a rule breaker, except all the other rules I broke, but not that one.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was where I drew my line.
Okay, this one, another one. I'll give Brandy credit for this one too. Prisoners or Requiem of a Dream?
Oh, she took this from our Q&A because you said you wanted this one.
Asking that shall receive.
This is very much a Bateman versus Guy choice because they both love one of these two movies.
Sure.
I think that Requiem is the better movie, but I'm going to pick Prisoners because I could stand to watch it more than once every 10 years. So I'm going to go with Prisoners just for the fact that I could revisit it more easily.
Oh, see, I'm going to say Prisoners, but for a different reason. I think they are both equally as painful and visceral to watch, but because Requiem for a Dream is a little more detached for me, just because I'm very fortunate to not have ever had like issues with substance abuse or things like that, nor have I had close relationships with people that have. So I do feel somewhat separate from the reality of what that is and what that's like, as well as the fact that it does have some fantastical elements to it. Prisoners, I mean, anybody can get kidnapped. I mean, I am tiny. People could take me. So I would like to think that they have to go all Jackman on Paul Dano for me. So I'm going to go Prisoners.
I'm just picturing someone trying to take Mara, and she's holding onto a bar with her ridiculous hand strength, preventing her from taking her.
While Sir Pounce is ready to come along and take care of business, you know.
Right.
Also, Melissa Leo, I feel like, is the best part of any of those two movies. I think it's Melissa Leo, right? And Prisoners. She's really good in that movie.
She is very good. Okay. Studio or live events?
Well, I have to say live events, right?
You do. You have to. They're going to baby.
Well, I was going to say we should both say live events because we're both undefeated at live events.
That's true. Yeah, I do love the energy of a live event too. It's the studio's great. It's more intimate, and you get to actually talk to more people and see more people. But you really can't compare it to the atmosphere of a live event, in my book.
I agree with that.
I talked about Dan's live event where they chanted "You deserve it." One of my favorite live event moments was when I think it was at the live event when Mar picked movie release dates. It was like, I'll take it, and like the crowd was like, "Ooh!" Like it was a very like crazy.
I put that on the wheel for that match.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm glad that I kept up some sort of ruse that it wasn't completely like I was so lucky I spun it on my first spin because that's what I wanted. Because I really wanted to have it be like, no one wants movie release dates. I want movie release dates.
Ooh, I like that.
I dig it.
That was the crowd was definitely into it for sure.
You should enter the exhibition match that they have, where Bateman and Mance go at it, and occasionally somebody else. You should get in on that then.
Ooh, oh man, you think that I don't know if I have enough clout to get an invite. We'll see.
I think
We'll put our clout towards it. We'll now that you're on call to action, just so you know.
now you've made it, right? Yeah, exactly.
I have. I'm in the big leagues now. You have no idea. I showered for this, people.
Wow.
One of us did.
I also fell asleep on my floor after that shower, but that's okay.
It's always good to take a nap. I love that. So
I mean, I'm not joking. Like I fell asleep on the carpet, like face in carpet.
I've actually done that before myself. Sometimes you have to do it. It has to happen, right?
I'm a small person also, so it's very easy for me to fit into places and easily just fall asleep.
Oh yeah,
I get it.
You would also be a hide and seek champion.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'll do 2 more, and then we'll go one more Star Trek one. Data or Spock?
That's tough.
That's hard. That's very hard.
I
I'm gonna
like
go
it when Paul gives hard ones. Sorry.
Spock. I'm going Spock.
Why? Why do you say that?
I think that I love Data's friendship with Geordi, but I think that Spock's bond with Kirk and with Bones adds a little more dimension to his character, and I think he got to cover more ground than Data did overall throughout the course of the shows and the movies and stuff. So I'm going Spock.
I understand that, and I do agree with you. And this was a very hard choice, but I'm going to go Data because he is a wholly unique character. Like we have other Vulcans, like we have Sarek, we have Valeris, like we have so many other different people that have kind of been there to display that difference between what is feeling deep emotion, but behaving in a way that's logical, which I really identify with. But Data is his own creature. And sure, yeah, he has brothers and they're the same, but they're not the same. I like the idea that he can learn all these new things. He is one of the only non-Vulcan characters to ever successfully subdue someone with a Vulcan neck pinch, which is also really cool, which he shouldn't be able to do, but he does, but whatever. We're not going to address that. Dan and I have an issue with that, but it's fine. But I like the idea that he was also a really big beacon for people that are on the spectrum to identify with in Star Trek. So I'm going to go Data.
Wow, I never. You went more in depth than I went when thinking about the
On the spectrum, I never even thought about that.
Great. That's a great answer. All right. I do have one more. To throw in there.
Okay.
My crew gave me this one. I don't know it myself. Twizzlers or Red Vines?
Twizzlers.
Yep.
I'll eat Red Vines if they're there, but if given the choice, I'm going with Twizzlers.
Plus, they make great straws.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like Red Vines, you expose a red vine to air for like 5 minutes and it becomes a tree branch. If you can open that huge tub, which will last you 6 months, by the way, they're good for 6 minutes and a tub will last you for 6 months. But if you can get one fresh out of the tub, then it might stand a better shot against a Twizzler. But no, I think you got to go Twizzlers.
They're going neither. And actually, that's actually what I tend to go for, neither myself. But that's all right.
See, I don't like traditional licorice. I just only like Twizzlers or Red Vines. I'm weird.
I don't like any licorice, to be honest. Any licorice, Twizzlers, any of that stuff. I don't know why, but that's just me. All right, that will end this or that for now. You have both survived your experience in this or that, and you come out unscathed. So thank you so much. That means, chat, it's time for you to start getting your questions ready. We'll be bringing on our lovely, wonderful producer, Kelsey. So glad to have you back, Kelsey. How are you today?
I'm excited. This was such a great episode. I'm excited to ask these chat questions. We had some Streamlabs come in that I'm excited to ask.
All right.
Yeah, that's right,
Awesome.
everybody. So everyone in the chat right now, this is your time. If you have any questions for Dan and Mara, please make sure that you get them in. Streamlabs and Super Chats will have priority. That's the only thing in there. But before we get to those questions, while we let you all get those in, we're going to go ahead and plug some stuff that's going on the channel the rest of this week. I'm going to let Paul start.
Okay. Well, on Wednesday, well, we're doing breakdowns, of course. We've been doing these call down breakdowns. Not every match. We've been trying to do as much because there's just so many matches with the tournaments. It's been hard to schedule all these different breakdowns. So we are going to be announcing those soon, which ones we're going to be breaking down. And then we will break down the rest of them. We'll talk about Action Live, which will be next Saturday at that point. We got a week's worth of matches, all sorts of good matches coming up from that. We are actually going to be taking a week off from Chill. This is the first time we've taken a week off in forever. So Dan
recover from this interview.
Recover.
Yeah.
The
We're
last
very sorry.
that we took was in June, but
Last time we took a break was in June, was it?
it feels like that was forever ago. But
Okay. We only did take 2 in the year, so that's pretty happy for us. So we will come back a week after that on our new day, Sunday. The last thing we will talk about is Schmo Bates is on Wednesday, our debate show. We have a corruption-themed debate happening. I believe. Kelsey? Who is who's debating?
The co-host is Shannon. She's
Barney's
gonna be
co-host.
awesome. And then, oh my gosh, Alex, I'm drawing a blank. I believe it's Marisol versus Chance.
Chance Ellison. That's what I thought it was too. So that should be a lot of fun to put together.
Oh yeah.
Chance on my screen again.
That's what it is. That's right. But that is our week, and then we'll be back to our normal schedule the next week as well, and Chill back on Sundays. That's our new day, Sundays. So, without further ado, Kelsey, do you want to start breaking down?
We should get Mara on Schmo Bates sometime because you were a nationally ranked debater at one point, I believe.
Indeed, I was.
Wow, Billy with the research coming in there. Look at that. All right. Well, that's something we'll definitely have to talk about at some point then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what helped me win my movie fight against Dan in New York. That's what also helped me win that amazing movie fights debut deathmatch trophy that's over by our TV. I might be good at it.
Yeah.
Alex is in the chat. You know that. Alex, you'll have to reach out and see what we can do. All right, Kelsey, go ahead.
Okay, well, starting with some of the Streamlabs that came in. Let's see which one. Okay, so we have one from Brandy saying just support from some of my favorite people. Also, the match that is needed is Dan and Sam versus Rachel and Mara.
Oh, wow. Would it be Intergeekdom or would it be just regular team stuff? That's the wicked.
Yeah.
They didn't specify, though.
So great.
Combination in the exhibition match with like the 4 champions. You could have some kind of combination of Intergeekdom and singles, correct? I mean, that would be something way to tackle it. Christian, listen to us. That's a good exhibition match.
And stand together, and they're the underdogs. That's crazy.
If it's Intergeekdom, then yeah, we would be. Are you kidding me?
For sure.
We get crushed. Crusher. We get crushed.
Literally get crushed.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't want to put Rachel at a disadvantage because I'm the only one that has only ever competed in Intergeekdom. I wouldn't want to drag her down. She's a champion.
It would be an interesting dynamic.
Good question, Brandy. I love that.
All right.
right,
Next, we have one from Jake Yacovetta. It's just a comment. Just for future reference, y'all shouldn't entertain Paul with any Ed Harris talk unless you want to see a grown-ass man turn into a fangirl.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a love for Ed Harris. That's great. Ever since I saw
A
The
love?
Abyss.
Is that how we're going to describe it? A love?
I would say that there was that somebody made it still in here. Probably is still in here. Somebody is showing our love. If I can find it, where is it? Yeah, it's still there. Yes, that's it.
Oh, that is disturbing.
It
Oh
haunts
my
my
God.
dreams. It's a
I
nightmare.
want our wedding to look just like that.
That is.
Except I want to wear a black dress, but your mom won't let me.
I am gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight.
yeah.
That's gonna haunt my dream. It's like that thing that you would watch on the internet where it's like they'd have that exorcist thing where it's like a quiet video and then they'd pop something up and it'd be like, ah, and you'd watch people watching it and they do that. And that's what I'm doing on the inside right now.
You just did
I'm gonna
it.
do
Rock. I've loved Harris ever since. So that's what it is. Thank you, Jake, for
All right, we got another one from Eric Lane. It says, I got in the Navy nuclear program. I didn't make it all the way through. Getting in is hard. Getting through it is harder. Mara is the best of the best. Love watching Dan and Mara. Classy and intelligent. No question. Just thanks. RIP countdown ? To New Mutants.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, Dan, I missed that already.
The countdown has ended.
It is. It's
New
over.
Mutants came out. Crazy.
Just such stunning reviews. Like it's all worth waiting for, right?
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. I was disappointed by how little I enjoyed it.
That's unfortunate.
I just thought it
I
was.
also missed the countdown.
It's a movie that suffered from not deciding what kind of movie it was going to be. Is it going to be a horror movie, a coming of age movie, a thriller?
Yeah. Could have used those reshoots.
Mhm.
Maybe. I don't know. They probably didn't want to put any more money into that thing. They probably made the right choice because they could stand to make some money back, maybe, depending on how it does.
There's no competition.
Yeah.
That's true. Very
Alright.
true.
And then next question from Ben. Hi guys, awesome show. Dan, how much do you want to play Kevin Smith in a match for payback for that movie fight? Answer at San Diego Comic-Con that year.
I've been wanting payback. I've been kicking myself over that. Do you guys know what they're talking about?
I don't.
There was a live movie fights that we did on stage at Comic-Con a few years ago. It was myself versus Kevin Smith versus Elijah Wood. Live on stage, packed audience. And the way that it works is, and I swear this is a psychological advantage that Kevin Smith had. The way that it works is usually you know what the answers are ahead of time. So they send the questions, you get the answers back, you can prepare for it. But Kevin was like, "Oh, I'm super busy, so I can't send the answers beforehand, but just roll with it." We're like, "Okay, fine." So the question was, what movie should be erased from history forever? And so I go into my spiel, my pre-prepared answer, and I was like, I think it's Jaws 2, because Jaws 2 invented the needless sequel, and it gave us all the terrible summer movie sequels that we've seen today, and blah, 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 blah. And it goes to Kevin, and he goes, Triumph of the Will. And everyone just goes like, well, shit. Because then I have to make the case for why we should preserve Triumph of the Will instead of Jaws 2.
But here's the thing, though. You took the wrong tactic.
Well, yeah, he threw me for a loop. So the next week in the shower, I came up with this great argument about how
you can't erase that painful part of history.
And if you forget it, then you're doomed to repeat it. It was a wonderful argument that I came up with a week too late. What I did was just kind of blather about Star Wars or something. I'm like, George Lucas said Star Wars, and Hitler sucks, but Star Wars is awesome. It's some nonsense. So yes, there's a measure of revenge I would like to get on Kevin Smith, but plus the fact that he beat me every time he was on movie fights. Every single time he was on movie fights, he beat me. So I'd love to, Freddy Krueger and Welcome to My World, even though movie fights was also kind of my world. Yeah, no, it would be wonderful. I'd love that. Plus we can bond over not being able to remember who Bruce Willis is.
Yeah, I love that.
We'd have to have Bruce Willis on the desk for that match.
Oh, there should be a Bruce Willis category on the wheel, but it should just be the whole wheel is just
Whole
one
wheel.
big Willis photo.
In the category of paycheck. When am I going to get paid?
The category of Hudson Hawk. Nobody gets that answer, right?
Yeah.
All right, Kelsey.
Next one. Star Drew asked several times in the chat, I need to know too. Pineapple on pizza or no? Be careful with your answer if you want my support. Wow, Jake.
No pressure.
No pressure.
This is a tough one.
Mara, you can answer first. You always make me go first.
I do not begrudge anyone the choice of toppings on their pizza, and I am a big lover of pineapple. I can do amazing things with a pineapple, but I like salty pizza. I like feta cheese. I like bacon. I like Kalamata olives. I want to get high blood pressure from my pizza. And so I don't necessarily want to have something sweet on my salty pizza, but I will eat pineapple before the pizza and after the pizza. And I won't judge people that do put it on pizza, but it's a no for me.
I like that answer too. Yeah,
I have eaten pineapple on pizza and it was okay, but it is not a choice that I would make proactively. I would not order
it's usually
a pizza
that
with
canned
pineapple.
stuff too. It's not even fresh
It's
pineapple.
not good. Plus, warm pineapple just doesn't sit right with me, and cold anything on pizza also doesn't sit right with me if it's on a hot pizza. So either way, it's just not for me.
I will throw something in there. Just because you said the cold thing. If you ever have a chance, throw some cold shredded cheese on top of your hot pizza. It actually does really work really well. It's an old Greek. So this old Greek guy in my neighborhood threw that on my pizza once. Mind blown. I don't know what it was. It was really good. So.
Okay.
Man, we've talked pizza 2 days in a row, and now all I want to do is eat pizza.
Sure.
But without pineapple, all of you pineapple people, we win again.
Billy does begrudge people for putting pineapple on pizza.
He
You're
does.
even more-
He very heavily begrudges.
It's okay. I won't judge you for that.
So did we retain Jake's support or not? I don't.
Oh, yeah,
We're gonna find out.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm unclear.
Yeah.
No,
don't
I
know
The only
what
thing
side
Jake
was
and I
supposed
agree
to
on
take.
is that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
We'll have to see what
Okay,
Jake
well,
says.
that's good.
We'll have to see what Jake says. Jake, you let us know, man.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Well, while we
Yeah,
wait for that, another question. Out of some of the newer Inner Geekdom players that we saw in the tournament, who would you both like to play?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Good question.
Ooh. I mean, I'll be honest though, the player that I most want to play besides Dan Murrell, but who's an actual existing Inner Geekdom player, is Kevin Smets. He and I want to play each other so badly. Like we have such a deep respect for each other, not just as people, but as players. And I just know it would be so much fun, and we would both just be trying not to laugh the entire time. So I really, really, really want to play Kevin, and I am positive it is going to happen. So,
That-
but
yeah.
if
That
I had to
match
go
was
with
supposed to
new
happen
players, I
at the
don't know.
season, right?
What?
I think that match was supposed to happen like at the beginning of the
Right.
season, wasn't it?
That was supposed to be my return. That's why Kevin and I, we were so heartbroken over it.
Yeah.
And he's been so supportive. He's checked in on me with my health over and over again this whole year. Obviously, I've been checking in on Baby Smasher, who will be making her debut very shortly. So, yeah, so he's just an all around great dude. Dan, do you have anybody else? I know you'd probably be interested in playing Kevin eventually when you got up to that caliber.
Oh, definitely. I mean, to be at
Oh,
the
he-
level to play Kevin, and then we did.
I mean, you've already lost to him once, so
I
you'd
did
be
it.
okay
He's
with
already, yeah, he already lost to him once because he was in the champs. That was a lot. That was a lot of fun.
The champ of champs.
exhibition match. He's the champion of champions right now. Yeah, I'm thinking of going, thinking back to the tournament to see who all was in there. I mean, I think obviously he's my faction mate, but the Barbarian obviously just would love to match brains with him.
Yeah.
He's just a wonderful person, a wonderful faction mate, just all around good dude. So
The Warfather has been in our chat tonight, so I mean, I'm sure like maybe.
Oh, I
if
would
you
totally
want-
play Eric. That'd be fun.
Are you kidding me? Totally.
But can you
Yeah,
hold the
because I
hammer?
could bring a tiny hammer to go along with his actual big hammer.
That's one of my favorite Jen Sturgeon
One of the
moments.
best moments,
Was when she
best
dropped it.
post-match interview moments ever was when he gave the hammer to Jen Sturger, and she like sold that it was too heavy for her to pick up. So
That's
good.
fun.
I like it.
So good. All right. Next question. Just to say Dan Explores Anime is so much fun and have been honored to start the amazing Mara page on Facebook. Thank you for visiting Chill. P.S. Hope to see Cowboy Bebop.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed exploring anime. I want to keep doing it. Sadly, that is one of those ideas that I came up with on the channel that I was like, oh, this would be so much fun, and I think people are really gonna dig it. It's just really didn't. So I want to keep watching, but I've had to sort of back burner the anime videos for now, but I'd like to keep doing it. Maybe if I can establish myself a little bit more and get a little bit more of a base, then they could perform a little better. And I don't know, it was really tough. I couldn't tell if people like, because I've seen anime videos do really well, and I couldn't tell if it's that like people like didn't like that I was coming into it like I don't know anything about this stuff, and was like discovering it. It's like, because they're like, don't you know this? I'm like, no, that's the whole thing. And I don't know this. Dan Explores Anime. I know nothing about any of this, and I like what I see, but yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of that kind of thing, I would like to just shoot my shot and say I would love to see a "Why I Love the Rock" video. That's what I want to see.
Oh, hey, I don't think that is going to be a problem long term at all.
Yeah.
Do you want to tease a little bit about the one that is going to be coming out soon?
Yeah, it's one about, I did Why I Love Jaws and I did Why I Love RoboCop, which are two wonderful movies that I love. The next one is a movie that's not so good. It's actually very bad that I love to pieces and have watched
A lot.
an obscene number of times. So that's one direction that I want to take for the series. Is it's not just going to be why I love great movies, although that'll be part of it, but it's also why I love movies that are just. I just love it. I love this movie. I love it. I love every second of it. It's terrible, but I love it.
And I'm actually going to be working on editing that right after we finish this, probably for a little
Mara's
while.
helping out. She went to we did some editing stuff, and Mara's already
getting better.
Getting better. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear this now because I love that kind of stuff. I had an idea a long time ago to do something like that, watching why this isn't the worst movie you've ever seen kind of thing. Like, I love that stuff. So.
Oh, but mine is very much about why it is the worst movie you've ever seen, but I love it anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
The good news is, if we can, we'll try to script in a really specific reference, something Ed Harris related just for you whenever we do I Love the Rock.
Exactly.
Awesome. Now, you know,
Don't do it. Don't feed the ego anymore. Don't feed the-
It's true love, Billy. It's true love. Come on. That's all it is.
It's something.
It's something.
You should play
All
a
right.
prank on him. Make him think he's gonna get said, and then it gets bleeped out or something like that.
April is only a few short months away in pandemic time.
That's true.
All right. Next one from Nerd Chronic.
Hey.
They're coming.
Love Eric here. Mara's Rise was the first Schmodown story I actively followed, and my first live event promo was for Dan. Love all your accomplishments in and out of the game. Do you two have a film you both adore equally?
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Awesome. I didn't know that either. I'm a big fan of
His promos are
He's
amazing.
incredible. Like, as an editor, I have editor envy over that stuff. It's so good. Let's see.
I don't believe he's a real person. He's so nice and like
He's
no one
like so
ever
nice.
has a bad word to say about him.
We went out to Spectacular. I went to his house, and then he went and took us to a restaurant. He bought us all dinner. Nicest guy I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
I love it.
But did you go back to that house the next day and it was all boarded up and they're like, nobody's read that for 25 years?
I had a lot to drink, so I wouldn't remember. Anyway, I had a lot
Probably
to
wouldn't
drink.
remember.
That's true.
It had folded in on itself and sucked back into the portal to hell or something.
Exactly.
The movie was all fun equally.
I mean, I think we have several that we both
Sorry.
really adore. I mean, Indiana Jones, particularly
Oh,
Raiders
yeah.
of the Lost Ark, I would say we both adore very equally.
Yep. I mean, we both love E.T.
E.T., yeah, very much.
We both
Is there a
love.
movie that
We
one
love
you
Empire.
love?
What was
Oh,
that?
sorry,
Paul?
were you
You
gonna
want
say?
to love and the other one does not like at all, and you're like, really, this again?
Not really. I think there's only ever been one movie we saw where, because I empathized with one character in the film and he empathized with a very different character in the film, it was one of the only movies that we've ever seen where it was like, I could do with not ever seeing that again. And he was like, it was fine. Like, it was probably one of the only times we've ever not really agreed, but it wasn't like it was based on the quality of the film. It was just our emotional attachments to it. But we almost agree completely about everything. We have exactly the same preferences about almost all things.
Yeah, it's rare that we
Except for
really
mayonnaise.
disagree on something.
Is that for mayonnaise?
Yeah, except for mayonnaise.
Just for mayonnaise.
Actually, I would say if we rewind to this or that, there's a lot of things that you were both picking opposite sides on. So I'm not sure that's entirely true, but
Well, I suppose I mean like knee-jerk reaction, organic sort of stuff. Like his mom thinks it's adorable because we'll be watching the news or something, and then we'll both just go, "Oh my gosh!" Just the same way, the same time, not coordinated in any way. Or she'll ask us a question, and we'll go, "Yeah, no, yeah," just to each other the same. Not thinking about it. We have very similar thought processes.
My favorite is once it was after a drunk movie fight that we had done, and we were in the elevator at what was then Defy Media, and I want to say it was one of the guys from Smosh.
I think so.
One of the Smosh Games guys got in the elevator, and we both, because we were going home, I was pretty tipsy, but we'd just been having fun. And we both turned to each other at the exact same time and said, "Do you want to watch The Witch?" Because we were going to watch The Witch when we got home. And then we both started laughing. And the guy that was in the elevator just turned to us and he just goes, "I hate both of you."
It didn't help that we had been seeing commercials because we were on a huge
Catfish.
Catfish kick right then, and every commercial break for Catfish were 2 different commercials for the witch. So it didn't help that was the thing that the advertising worked. It worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked.
Cute. All right, I have a question.
Is that where the love
I
of reality television comes from? Is from Catfish or?
Mara and Dan, what is your top 3 '90s movies and TV shows?
Ooh, that's so hard. I mean,
Well, movies has to include Jurassic Park. That's no question.
yeah, movies definitely includes Jurassic Park, and I mean, I don't want to monopolize it with Spielberg, but for me, I mean, we could really just do Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, and Jurassic Park, and call it a day on '90s movies. I mean, you could just one director.
Yeah.
I'm game with that. I'm fine with that.
TV shows.
He's an art director to be the one.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, The Simpsons really hit its peak in the '90s, so I don't think you
was
get
good
much
back
better than
then.
'90s Simpsons. Let's see.
I mean, I'm a skosh younger than Dan,
Okay.
so I didn't have as much '90s TV as Dan did, just because I was younger. I don't know. I mean, you like Saved by the Bell.
TNG is
it
the
went into
best
the
years of
90s.
TNG were in the '90s. Yeah,
True.
and then I'm just gonna say Sequest DSV. Wrap it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh man,
Yeah.
cancel too soon. Cancel too soon.
That was one of the very first things we watched when we did our review of Peacock.
Mm-hmm. We watched the pilot episode of Sequest.
Was Michael Ironside in there like the last era of that? Is that
He
the
was.
show?
He was. I want to say it was after they had gone to the future, but before they went to space.
Right. It was like
I think Michael Ironside was the captain of the submarine.
I love Michael Ironside. He's my like low key. They're like not in a lot of
And it
movies.
only was around for what, 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They did so much in 2 seasons of that show. They went to space. They went to the future. Yeah, it was insane.
Okay, let's see why it might have gotten canceled. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And we have one from Oscar. It's just saying War Zaddy.
Okay, for Eric and
All
Michelle.
right.
Okay. And let me scroll back up, see which ones.
I have one from Malcolm. What is your
Huh?
favorite Chadwick Boseman performance?
Oh, good call. Good call.
Well, we were talking about this. I sadly, because a lot of his performances kind of had the aura of great performance in an okay or a pretty good movie. There were several of his performances that I haven't seen because I skipped the movies because I'd heard like, oh, that's okay, it's So Black Panther was really my biggest exposure to him. I mean, he was great in The Five Bloods as well. I thought he was wonderful. So I need to go back and see more of his work. Sadly, it's now almost a final body of work, but yeah.
Eventually you will get to see Dan that he had a guest spot on Castle because I love that show. So I was already aware of him even at that time. But I'm with Dan. I've seen some of the more iconic scenes. I know a lot of people in the chat are already talking about 42, but I haven't seen the film in its entirety. But I do still really just love Black Panther because he had so much on his shoulders with that, just because, it's one of the most relatable ways of demonstrating how you have to take accountability for the things that have happened that cause people to want to do things that are terrible in life, and just grieving over loss and things like that. It's way more than just a comic book movie. So I still really, I'm so incredibly happy. I love that movie so much. It's definitely my top 5 Marvel movies.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right. Another question we have is, what movie or movies do you quote the most?
Oh.
It's weird because it's kind of hard to think of them on the fly, but Dan and I quote movies and TV to each other constantly.
We do.
So,
Yeah, I can't think of one.
My biggest movie quote that I ever did it's from Dumb and Dumber. So when he walks out of the 7-Eleven and he goes, "Big gulps, huh? See you later." And I used to
See you
say
later.
that all the time to like random people on the street and like time of my life.
It's really just weird lines because a lot of times, like with Dumb and Dumber, a lot of times I'll do I was way off. or.
That's a good
But
one.
it's weird. It just kind of comes in the moment. I can't think of any that I consciously am like, oh, I'm going to quote this movie or quote that movie. It just kind of pops up in a lot of times I'll do the Han Solo from Empire Strikes Back. I was like, this one goes there, that one goes there. Like,
How about the cats?
yeah, the cats. One time, the cats were getting fed, and like she went to his food, and he went to her food, and I was like trying to get them to go to their bowls, and I was doing Han Solo. I had like picked one cat. I was like, this one goes there, that one goes there. I was just kind of sorting the cats into their.
But they did that thing where they just go boneless the minute you pick them up because they don't want to go. So you pick up a cat and they're just boneless, and then you drag them over to their dish and pick up the other cat, and then they go boneless, and you drag them over to their bowl. I quote Psych a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Dumb and Dumber is a good one. There's a lot from Dumb and Dumber. I also do the one, I can't remember the exact quote now, but you paraphrase it. It's like, you did something like that, but then you do this and you totally redeemed yourself or whatever. I use that one a lot. I can't remember the exact quote now, though, but you know what I mean, though.
It's like, just when I think you couldn't get any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
That's why I used to do that one. So.
I always did the, it's the Rockies. He's got 2 pairs of gloves on.
Further.
Okay, one from Dean Morgan. Pandemic aside, what's it been like working on your channel with Mara's help?
Working together.
It's great. We it's been this kind of evolving thing where I don't think either one of us necessarily, when we started, was sure what our roles were going to be, and I think it's really developed into even more of a partnership than I think either one of us had maybe thought at the beginning. But it's great. I mean, especially like I said, having Mara there to help me think and reason and puzzle out, like, there's no movies coming out this week, and we need to keep uploading videos. What do we do? And she's just such a great person to come up with ideas and bounce ideas off of. And so I think one of the silver linings, and I think it's important to try to find them, is that the creative thinking that this whole situation caused has sort of helped us develop our partnership a little more quickly maybe than it would have if it was just like, I'm doing reviews, I'm doing box office, I'm doing reviews, I'm doing box office, Mara, what do you think?
True.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's also been nice to just have us find ways to diversify, because I mean, you come up with really great ideas on your own. I come up with some good ideas on my own, but usually we can spin those up into better versions of each other's stuff together. And I mean, it's just pandemic sucks. And I don't mean that just personally. I mean, like, for the human race, it's a terrible thing, but it's been, unfortunately, a very good coincidence that since we are stuck in a place with each other 99.9% of the time, that it's now the place where we can creatively problem solve these things. It was fine when you were working for Screen Junkies. We were still doing stuff from home. You were doing SJU at home and stuff like that, working on us trailers at home. And that was always great. But it's kind of nice you're your own boss now, and we get to work together, and there's no other distraction from it. So I think maybe that's also part of why at ground level we've been so fortunate to have gotten even a small amount of the success that we've had. And we're really excited about some new things that are going to be coming out soon. So please stay tuned.
Definitely excited. And yes, Eric did get it in there. Eric did get that for us. Thank you, Eric. I think I appreciate that.
Oh, nice.
Earlier did say, where's that? It's his name in certain circles.
In certain circles.
Have your father on Shield Action at some point. Maybe we can go a little deep dive into that. I don't know if it's okay or not. We'll figure it out.
If you want to take a deep dive into that.
Maybe not.
What is your favorite nickname for Gus on Psych? That Sean would always.
Oh, there's so many good ones though. Lavender Gooms is always one of my favorites, because I love when, what's his name? The wrestler. Sorry, this is what I mean with the medication. Like, you just can't think of normal things. He's an actor now, not The Rock, but the other guy.
Cena?
Edge.
Oh, Edge.
Jericho.
No, he's like
Edge, right?
he had like a military persona or something.
Oh, The Miz. No.
John Cena.
No.
John Cena. Yes, that's the guy. When John Cena was on there as Juliet's brother, and I think that he mentioned Lavender Gooms in that episode as well. So I like that one a lot. There's so many though. I'm actually just finally. Please don't hate me, even though I'm a huge Psycho. I'm finally watching Psych the movie because I hadn't gotten around to it, and then it was like unfindable for the longest time. And then I'm gonna also watch Psych 2 Lassie Come Home. So I'll be doing that while I'm editing later, probably.
It's on Peacock now, right? I think
it is. It is on Peacock. The TV that's right behind this this thing had Psych the movie. The opening scene was on right before I got the link for this. So,
all right. What is the best scene in Jaws, and why is it the USS Minneapolis monologue?
Well, I feel like Marge and Fargo. I'm gonna have to disagree with your comment work there, Magnus. That'd be the USS Indianapolis. But I mean, it's certainly one of the best scenes in Jaws. But I think there are a lot of great scenes in Jaws. I love the dinner table conversation between Hooper and Brody and Ellen Brody, and just the different levels that everyone's at, where Ellen is kind of concerned for her husband. Brody's getting drunk off his ass. Hooper is, there to deliver bad news. I just love the dynamic between them. I love the build up to the Indianapolis monologue, the comparing scars scene, etc. Really, it's you can't go wrong with really any scene in that movie, except for the two guys on the pier, which I always thought was a time waster. I know that it's establishing that the shark's out there, but I've always been like, I could live without this.
I was like when Hooper's yelling at the local fishermen. I think it's when they catch the tiger shark.
Yes. What?
And he's like explaining the difference between. Such a good scene.
Makes me laugh every time, like much more than I should.
Yeah.
All right. Another question. What is Spielberg's most underrated movie? I say it's AI. That's Andrew Valens.
Underrated.
I like War of the Worlds more than most people do. But I think generally it's probably Catch Me If You Can. I think that's as good as any other, except for maybe the upper echelon. And I think that's not one that's often cited. So, yeah.
I like Minority Report. I think that's his most underrated movie.
Ooh, I like that one a lot too.
Actually, one of my favorite ones.
It's also Roxy famously was on Action Movie Anatomy and said it was both Spielberg's most underrated movie and Tom Cruise's most underrated movie as two separate entities. So.
Interesting.
That's a really cool convergence there. I like that.
Good, yeah.
Hey, another thing you and Roxy agree on, Dan. There's this many now.
Another question by Oscar Romo. Guilty pleasure movie.
Ooh.
Dan knows what mine is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hang on. I've been working all the time. My brain is not operating at peak efficiency.
I've seen that look. That's not good.
Abort.
Technical difficulties.
What? Hey, what? What's that? The camera went out. I'm sorry.
We lost Dan.
No.
Sorry.
I've tried to get you to watch the end of this movie. You've never seen the end of it.
Oh, yes. Gods of Egypt. Yes.
Also featuring Chadwick Boseman, by the way.
Yes. Gods of Egypt.
Okay.
I love that movie. It is just such a crap fest, and I'm just gonna eat it up and think it's ice cream. I don't even care.
That's true.
That's awesome.
I don't like.
I can't say
I don't
mine.
have pleasure because I like all bad movies.
Mine would spoil what the video we were talking about earlier is. So
That's true.
Well,
you know what I would also say is the Book of Henry, because we also really love that bad movie.
Yeah, Book of Henry's definitely one of them, and Jaws: The Revenge.
I love Jaws: The Revenge. Don't even say it's bad.
The shark is psychic.
Yes.
Yes. That's...
And can roar.
That is true. Kelsey, is that everything?
There's one more comment from Jake Yakovez. Says, "Can't wait so I can buy y'all shots for all y'all again." So we need a live event. That's
Jake. I told you
we just do mixed drinks only, please.
I can't do shot. I'm getting so old. I can't do shots anymore, Jake.
His body will break, Jake.
I will collapse like a dying star into myself.
What are you trying to do?
pour
that?
it into something else.
Well, yeah, that's true. I felt very bad. Jake wanted to very, very badly to buy me a shot after the Orlando show, and I mean, Mara and I had to get on a plane at like 8
We had
o'clock
like
the next
less
morning.
than 6 hours or something till we had to be at the airport.
Yes,
Oh.
but I felt very bad turning him down for shots. So, but I mean, you know, listen, I went to Florida State. Trust me, I think I can take shots with the best of them. Not really, but I think my shots days are behind me.
Well, Jake, I know Jake will adapt. He will buy a mixed drink instead. I know he will do so because
Fair
that's
enough.
what
All right.
That's fair.
there you go.
Here's the question: what is your chosen mixed drink for both?
There you go.
It
I like Moscow
depends.
Mules.
Yeah, Mara likes Moscow Mules. I
course,
tend
there's,
to
like,
just kind
science
of go
involved in it.
wherever the mood takes me. So sometimes it's a Jack and Diet, sometimes it's a gin and tonic. Sometimes I'll go with a Moscow Mule, like Mara.
You like old fashions a lot too.
Yeah,
especially when
sometimes
I
it'll
make
be an
them.
old fashioned. Yeah, I tend to just kind of depends on the mood. I don't really have one go to.
We also really love aviation gin. Not sponsored, and plus now Ryan sold it, so hashtag sad. But yeah, we love aviation gin.
It's really
Nice.
good.
Fair enough.
What's
I
your
like a
favorite beer?
Mexican meal.
Ooh.
I like a good Hefeweizen.
Mm-hmm.
So LA local would be Golden Road or a Blue Moon.
Yeah, I like Blue Moon a lot.
Yeah, I like a good
You
Hefeweizen.
like to chew your beer?
No, I didn't say
also
Guinness. I
like
said Hefeweizen.
I like
Well,
some
traditional Hefeweizen, you chew it.
A lot of aviation people, it looks like in the chat. Robert Adams' aviation gin is so
It
good.
really is. It's very
right.
solid.
I also I have a really great recommendation for anybody that is a vodka fan. I got Dan onto it finally because it is so amazing. It's actual really good Russian vodka. It's Beluga is the name. It's fantastic. It's kind of hard to find. You usually have to go to like a specialty liquor store. You can't just kind of find it in a grocery store. Although I think Ralph's/Kroger might sell it now, which is weird. But I got it in a duty-free lounge when I was like flying international somewhere. And it was just like, I had to kill like 4 hours or something between a connection. And I was just like walking around because I didn't want to keep sitting still because I had like a 16-hour flight after that. And the lady's like, do you want to try this? And I was like, what is it? And she's like, it's vodka. And I was like, no, it's room temperature. And she's like, trust me, you want to try it. And I was like, okay. Tried it room temperature. It was delicious and smooth and amazing. And then she's like, you want to try another one? And I was like,
Yes.
yes. And so then after having like 8 little cups worth, I was like, I'm going to have a couple bottles.
Speaking of marketing working, you know, like,
Exactly. But I love it now. And so it's just the smoothest, most amazing vodka ever. And it's what's in our little cool liquor cabinet that's made out of a really awesome like an old school what's it called, Dan? See, I can't think of like basic words.
Tray?
The
Some kind of
like
tray.
a milk carton
Yeah.
crate.
Crate, yeah.
Yeah, because we're super elegant here. Only antiques that you can get really inexpensively for us.
It also shows how Californian we are when Mara talks about buying vodka at the grocery store. Because I remember when we came here, exactly.
Not
When we
Utah
came
either.
here for the first time, we were like, I remember going to the grocery store. I was like, I'm gonna go buy some vodka, and I was going up and down the aisles. And I was like, am I missing the liquor aisle? And then I'm like, no, you doofus, you're in Arkansas. They don't sell liquor at the grocery store.
Best vodka I ever had.
Robert Adams, though, is talking about how there's no liquor at the grocery store. He's in Texas, though, where I literally had a 24-hour drive-through liquor store in Texas. So I think he's doing okay.
Well, yeah, they're separate entities. There's the liquor store and the grocery because some places you don't sell it on Sunday, so you can't just close a shelf for a whole day. I guess you could.
Also depends on what county you're in the South, because some counties you can do certain things and some counties you can't.
Very true.
Best vodka I ever had is called Black Death vodka. And I had it in Moscow when I was, these are stories I shouldn't tell in a way. I was 12 years old and I was in a musical.
Well, that was 40 years ago. How do you remember?
I know. Well, because the first time I actually ever got drunk, I was like 12 years old. I was playing.
First of all, some Russian told you this was called Black Death.
It was banned in the U.S.
It was banned in the U.S.
Why?
I want it.
It was
He was
so.
alive in the Cold War. He was rocking in a new age with his blue jeans and his, Billy Joel.
It's true.
How did this happen? Like, were you in Russia? And it's like, hello, little American boy. I would like to give you some of the Black Death. Like, they know.
You staying with James Vanderbeek again, Paul?
I went with we had sponsors that kind of took care of it. My parents didn't go with me. I went with this troupe.
Obviously.
They actually they said, you know what? When are you going to be in Moscow again and be able to have vodka in Moscow? So they said you could have a little sip. What they don't know is later on I had a sip, and then I kind of went up into the room later on and took a little more than a sip. Like, this is good stuff. Even at 12, I liked it. I don't know. That shows me where I am, I guess. But but it was a lot of fun. If you ever have a chance to get it, it was the smoothest vodka I've ever had. So good. Right from, I don't know. So,
I mean, I'm always down for a little Black Death. So, yeah.
That's a good vodka for the pandemic, I guess, right?
It's
On brand.
Oh, God.
very on brand.
All right, Kelsey, anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Danny?
This is usually where we had a switchboard. We would turn the music on at this point. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us on this Sunday night on Chill's New Time. So big thank you to everyone inside of the chat. Big thank you to Dan and Mara. We cannot believe that we finally got this chance to hang out with you. We really appreciate you spending this time with us. Thank you so much, y'all.
Of course.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
We got it. So, but Paul, do you have anything you need to say before we head on out of here?
Oh, I let Mara and Dan plug anything that they want to plug. Mara and Dan,
Dan, I'll let you go first. Dan, go ahead and tell us where you're at and anywhere else we can find you.
You can find me on Patreon, patreon.com/Dan Murrell. That's where we do monthly movie club, which I'm gonna log off here when we're done, and I'm gonna go finish and post because tomorrow's the end of the month, and I'll make sure they have a full day with it tomorrow. So with monthly movie club, movie commentaries, and we're also about to roll out some new stuff, some new features for our tiers based on a lot of the feedback that we got. So I'm gonna try to get that video out here in the next few days so people know what they can get. So very excited about continuing to build that Patreon. So patreon.com/Dan Murrell. I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/Dan Murrell Movies. Somebody else has the name Dan Murrell on YouTube. So it's Dan Murrell Movies. That's where you can find charts, which I'm going to do tomorrow. You can do reviews of why I love, etc. All there on YouTube. And then I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Murrell Dan.
Woo, what about you, Mara?
I want to thank everybody in the chat, all of the familiar faces, all of the new faces. It was so much fun. Also, thanks you guys for going a little long for us because, we were having such a good time. I am occasionally over on Dan's channel. I always forget that mirror image here. I could be wherever. And then you'll find me behind the scenes on Patreon from time to time on Dan's Patreon. But I am on Twitter at that Mara, and I'm anybody that wants to help, feel free to give me a tutorial. I'm trying to learn how to use Instagram because I'm old, but I'm at that Mara LA because apparently there's already that Mara over there. Apparently they didn't know that this Mara needed to be that Mara, but that's fine.
Right? Does she even bake?
Do you even bake?
Right, exactly. So yeah, we're like I said, we've got a lot of big things in the works. So please, people, stay tuned. I'm so incredibly grateful for you guys for inviting us. I'm glad we were able to work it out. Thank you again for moving the day, even if it was going to be moved permanently. We appreciate you moving it for us and being so flexible with scheduling and whatnot, because things have been really crazy. And when we announce stuff, you guys will understand why. But thank you guys all so much.
Can't wait for that. So.
Yes, thank you so much. Billy, my love, let us know where you're at on the internets.
I'm at Mr. Billy Belford on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, Billy Belford, and Instagram. I think I have a thing, and
that's how I feel.
I'll probably see them and like them. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Kelsey.
All right, you can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. We also have merch on TeePublic, so get your call to action merch. We have masks, so you have no excuse not to wear a mask. Wear your masks.
That's cool.
And you can find me at KelseyKinsGamer on Twitch, where I stream video games. So I hope to see you guys there.
Yep. And Paul.
Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me here every week now on Sundays with my favorite co-host, Danny Joy. You can also find me weekly on Class Action, which is a show on Action Industries YouTube channel, on Ben and Drew's channel. You can also find me on PLD Projects, which I'm starting to open up. I think it'll get more content in when the tournament slows down and C2A has a chance to breathe on some stuff. But I do some shows on V, the 1980s sci-fi show, which is one of my favorites of all time. And I will be doing, when Jake gets me a few more thumbnails, I will be starting the Harris Dance, where I take you through all the movies of Ed Harris and make you love him like I do.
Ooh.
Finally.
Just milk money over and over again. That's it.
Milk money is all over again.
That's it. And you
It's
all
on
know
loop.
me. It's your girl, Danny Joy here. You can find me on Twitter at Danny Joy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me here every Sunday now, hosting Chill to Action on the Call to Action Network with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio, right over there. Once again, for everyone from the Call to Action crew. Oh, I'm so sorry. Really quickly, Dan and Mara, if you don't mind just hanging out with us for a quick second after we hang out here. That's it. Sorry. Didn't get a chance to say that earlier. Saying it now. To everyone inside of the chat, from everyone at the Call to Action crew, thank you all so much for hanging out with us on this Sunday night. We love you. And as always, we salute you.